Hey there, friends. This is a little bit different. Sorry I'm getting on later than usual, but such is life. Life goes on. We continue to do a lot of other things and a lot of other crises that come up. But again, as always, we're so grateful to you all. Here we are on day 64 of Russia's invasion into Ukraine, and you're still here. You continue to care. You continue to raise up prayer. You continue to get the word out, and we're so grateful to you all. I will say this, the good news is, in some ways, today's a relatively quiet day on there, which when quiet means limited suffering. And so praise God for that. There's a lot to praise God for. But there's also some things we need to pray into, and I'm going to be really simple and short today because it's a relatively quiet day. But this afternoon, I've been wanting to do for a while, I'm going to do a question and answer time, kind of a ask me anything kind of thing. And so if you want to be a part of that, it's going to be, I believe, 3 o'clock Eastern time, New York time. We're going to answer pretty much any question you've got. Try to ask them in a good spirit. We do want to answer any honest and questions, because we know there are a lot of questions out there. So be sure to join us for that. That's going to be 3 o'clock, and that's going to be live on YouTube and on Facebook. But so, as always, if we're going to look to the hard things, we got to first encourage ourselves on what God has done. And one of the things that we're seeing is that the West has come to a place they fundamentally said they wouldn't come to at the beginning of this. If you guys remember back in January, Germany, the only support they sent Ukraine was helmets. And yet here today, we're seeing more and more and more the determination to supply Ukraine with the means to defend itself. One of the examples, literally in the last 24 hours, is Great Britain is looking at sending airplanes. That's huge. Sending airplanes will make a huge difference. If we get actually 4th and 5th generation fighters into Ukraine, this can change a lot. I've said it again and again, the vast amount of destruction is coming from either artillery or from bombs. And the ability to take those out will limit most of the suffering of the Ukrainian people. But as the arms continue to flow, that's wonderful. As we've, the Ramstein conference with all the defense secretaries, there were 40 nations there. It's not just NATO, as Russia wants to say. 40 nations from around the world, including Kenya and Tunisia and South Korea and New Zealand and Australia. So this is really a world is coming together and standing. Another thing that we've prayed very clearly about is Guterres has changed his narrative. That's the UN General Secretary, who has consistently been like, hey, can we just not fight? Can we just not fight, please? Like, people need to, worried about the world economy, which is a real issue, but Russia is holding the world hostage with that. And Guterres has been like, so when Guterres met with Putin on Tuesday, right? First, before he met with Zelensky today, we were really concerned because there was a signs that he was going to, again, get Putin's negotiating points. And so we prayed that Putin would hold the line, and Putin held the line. All of his, what he said was relatively meaningless. And Guterres, in an interview on CNN, said that he told Putin this invasion is in violation of international law and in violation of the UN Charter. He said it has to stop. And he also said this war will only end when Russia stops. That's huge because people are telling Ukraine to stop. No. So that is awesome. Praise God. He's moved. He recognizes the reality that the only way this ends is if Putin stops. So that is awesome. That is a unbelievably monumental answer to prayer. Praise God. Because this unites the international community in demanding that Russia cease. So that's good. But there's also a lot of things to pray for, as always. Russia is attempting a counteroffensive against Ukrainian forces there, as the Ukrainian forces are threatening Kherson. There have been no noticeable gains today for the Ukrainians, but there's also been no real noticeable gains for the Russians across the front. They're shelling randomly. We've prayed the enemy be confused. They seem confused. So, like I said, it's a relatively quiet day. It's a day in which the various groups, units are regrouping and trying to figure out where they want to go next. But I've said this again, delay is not on Russia's side. Russia must get a meaningful victory in the field by May 9th. They have to have something to show the Russian people for why 20,000+ of their soldiers are dead. They have to see why, what the reason is that Putin has bankrupted the Russian economy. He has to be able to demonstrate some sort of patriotic victory. And right now he doesn't have it. So there has to be a victory in the field. And so a lot of the enemy is going to be ramping up in intensity. And again, we've said this, pray, because the indications are that where they're really going to press, they're going to press hard in Donbass. They really are. They want to see a real victory there, but they're going to do a real cast of the die in Zaporozhye and Kherson Oblast, pushing north toward Kryvyi Rih and Zaporozhye. And that would be, so pray that they are held, because the indications are that of all the Ukrainian military units, the Zaporozhye units are the least organized. And so pray for the Ukrainian military there. But continue to pray for the church. The church continues to rise up and do incredible things in the middle of this, demonstrating a fundamentally different kingdom, serving with compassion, serving with hope, serving with joy. So continue to pray for their stamina, pray for their persistence, pray that they would be able to continue to demonstrate that other kingdom. Again, we're so grateful to you for the gifts that you have given. I misspoke. We missed the deadline. And so the funds that we said would go out yesterday are going out today. So we're bringing the total to $107,500 and some change. And so we're so grateful to you, all who've given. If you want to be a part of that, supporting them and what they're doing of bringing needed help on the ground, it's ariselife.org/help-Ukraine, as always. And if you want these updates in some sort of print form, ariselife.org/Ukraine. Again, this afternoon, we're keeping this short today, but this afternoon, I'm going to be answering all your questions. So if you've got questions, please bring them. We sometimes miss your questions here, but if bring them, we're just going to be answering your questions. It's going to be 3:00 Eastern time or New York time, and that's going to be on Facebook and on YouTube. We'd love to take your questions, and answer whatever we can, whether it's about us, whether it's about our ministry, whether it's about Ukraine, whether it's about history, whether it's about geography, whether it's just whatever. We want to answer your questions. So be sure to join us for that. And continue to press in for the hope that God has, because God is on the move and you matter. That's why he's invited you to be a part of this victory, not because he needs you, but because he wants you to be a part of this victory. Because the victories, so many of you said that your hearts have been so encouraged by what God has done through in Ukraine, so you started to believe for victories for yourself. We had a great testimony from Michelle. Michelle said that she said she had a clean break on her fibula, and it was causing her a great amount of pain. And we prayed for her by text, and all the pain was gone. And she said, I was a skeptic of this whole thing of praying by text, but I believe, guys, the prayer. Listen. power of prayer is not in the strength of our words or the amount of motion we put into it, or in the sweat we put into it, or even the exact words. The power is in He who raised Jesus Christ from the dead. It's in the fact that Jesus gave his life on the cross. He suffered in our place, took upon himself the penalty for sin, and took all of the brokenness of the world on himself. And so what we're doing when we're praying for one another is simply laying at the cross, foot of the cross, what Jesus paid for, that brokenness. And so whether it's by text, whether it's by voice, whether it's through phone, whether it's through video, whether it's face to face, through the laying on of hands, it's Jesus. It's Jesus. And so, we're just so grateful for the way you guys are rising up and praying for one another. As always, we've got an amazing prayer team on here. They'd love to pray for you. If you need prayer for anything, just say need prayer and they'll jump on. And I see Gary Phillips here. He's our leader of the men's groups. If you'd like to be a part of the men's group, put down men's group. We've also got Jill Hawes and Mariana Sikovska who are leading women's groups. And so if you'd like to be a part of those, put women's group. But we just love you guys. We're so grateful for you all. Again, I'd love for you to join us with all of your questions today, 3:00, and we'll be back here for that. So be blessed. We love you all so much. Take care.